seat, that's the front seat, the back, and these are called a cockpit. Now, the way this works is that the student, who was called a cadet, the student sat in the front cockpit, the instructor in the back cockpit, and the instructor had the same controls that the student had, so he or she could demonstrate what to do or correct your mistakes. So I want you to walk up that black stripe, step over the side onto the seat and sit down. Just step right over onto the seat and sit down. Right between your knees, you see a handle on the end of the stick. Take a hold of that. I'm going to move it back here. You just let me move it. You can move it long distances, but you don't move it violently. If in an airplane, if you move the controls violently, now look, you can't interfere with me. If you move the controls violently, the airplane will respond violently, and you won't enjoy it. Now I have let go of the stick. I want you to do this. Move that stick from side to side like this, and watch your wingtip out here. You see what's happening out there? That's called an aileron. There are a lot of French words in airplanes. That's the aileron. The body of it is the fuselage. The tail is the empennage. The French were pioneers too. Move that aileron so it comes all the way up. All the way up. All the way. Now, hold it up there and look at the other wingtip. That one is down, isn't it? Here's what happens. The air that flows over the top of the wing hits that aileron and pushes the wing down. The other wing gets pushed up. That's how you roll the plane. You move that stick from side to side and she'll roll like that. Now look back here over your shoulder at the tail. There you go. That horizontal thing is called the horizontal stabilizer. I want you to watch back there and pull that stick all the way back in your lap and watch what happens. Pull it all the way. All the way. More. There you go. Here's what happens back there. The air that flows over that stabilizer hits that movable part. That movable part is called the elevator. And the air hits that elevator and pushes the tail down and the nose goes up. So to gain altitude, to climb up in the plane, you pull back on the stick and she'll climb. Now you watch back there and push that stick all the way forward and you'll see just the opposite happens. Now do that. Push that stick all the way forward and just the opposite happens. That pushes the tail up and the nose goes down. So to go up to climb up, to gain altitude, you pull back on the stick. To go down, you push forward. Now you're still looking at the tail. That vertical thing is called the vertical stabilizer. Down on the floor of the airplane, one on each side, you see some pedals. Put your feet on those pedals. Now watch the tail back there and work those pedals like that. Step on the left one hard. There you go. You see what's happening. The air that flows past that vertical stabilizer hits that rudder fin, pushes the tail one way or the other, and that's the basis of a turn. Now we're going to go through the process to make a left turn. To do that, you would step on the left rudder pedal and at the same time move the stick to the left. It's a coordinated movement. You do them both at the same time. Step on the pedal, move the stick, and look. Stepping on the pedal pushes the tail around, moving the stick makes it bank. That's how you fly this thing around a turn like that. And it works that way in this little airplane, in those big fighter planes that you see down there, or a 747 airliner. They all work exactly the same.
Oh, actually same working like this?
Yeah,
Oh.
same thing. Now, we're going to look at your instrument panel. Right there is the altimeter to tell you how high you are above the ground. It's a sort of a barometer. There's some little bellows on the inside that expands and contracts, so it changes in air pressure, and the higher you go, the lower the pressure. The short, fat needle reads in thousands of feet. The long, skinny needle reads in hundreds of feet, and each of those little marks around the outside edge is 20 feet. So right now, that thing is telling you that you're about 360 feet above the ground, which obviously you're not. So here's how it works. You're going to fly from Dallas to San Antonio. Before you take off, you would set all your needles on 0 because you have no altitude. Before you arrive down in San Antonio, you would call the Weather Bureau or the control tower at the airfield and ask them for the altimeter setting. Now you see the little window between the 2 and the 3 with small numbers in it? Right there. That instrument. Right there between the 2 and the 3. There you go. Right there is a little black knob. With your left hand, take a hold of that knob and turn it slowly. Turn it. You're not turning there. Turn it the other way. You can see turn it faster. You can see the needles moving. Now that's far enough. And what you'll do is turn that knob until the number they gave you for altimeter setting is centered in that window. When it is, that will compensate for the difference in air pressure between where you took off and where you are down there. The instrument will be giving you an accurate altitude above the ground, and when you land, all your needles will be on 0. There is the airspeed indicator to tell you how fast you're going. It reads from 40 miles an hour to 220 miles an hour. This little airplane will fly at about 55 to 60 miles an hour. You would cruise at 120 miles an hour. It would go as fast as 220 in a dive with the engine running wide open, but you don't want to do that because it isn't stretched for that, so you keep it down below 180. So you fly at 55 to 60, cruise at 120, keep it below 180. That's the RPM gauge, the tachometer, to tell you how fast your engine is running. You see the little black mark, little red mark there, that's right. That's a red line. You don't want to let the engine run fast enough to where that needle will come around and pass the red line. If it does, she's not going to explode. But above that is not a healthy speed for this engine. Those two little dials are sort of a measure of the health of your engine. It's oil pressure and oil temperature gauges. There is the compass to tell you what direction you're going, except that instrument is broken. It's supposed to have a clear fluid in it, and it's gotten cloudy. So before we could fly this, we'd have to replace that. That little switch, we're not going to turn it on. Here's how it works. When you turn that on, it broadcasts on a frequency that is monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by officers of the Civil Air Patrol. Works this way. You're flying out over West Texas. You get lost. You can't find a town with an airfield. It's getting late in the day. You're running low on gasoline. There are thunderstorms around. Just not a good situation at all. So you land this little airplane out there on a farm road and turn that switch on, and it begins broadcasting on that frequency. A Civil Air Patrol officer out there in Midland, Odessa, or Lubbock, or somewhere out in West Texas will pick that signal up and follow it right back to your airplane to bring you help. They probably bring the police too, but you will get help. Now, that's the reason we don't turn it on in here. Somebody did one day, and it wasn't too long before we had Civil Air Patrol officers in here trying to find a crash. Right up here, kind of high up on the left, you see a black knob with